I think we are seeing a Commission President who is more and more challenged every day. I sincerely think that we can break up this coalition if we work very strategic, very hard, especially on the right.
Welcome back to Interference. This is a special episode. We're here to talk about the no confidence vote in Ursula von der Leyen. She's the European Commission President. We have an expert on the line. Well, he's more of an expert than I am anyway. Hi there, Anders Vistisen. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Thanks to you. You are an MEP from Denmark and one of those who voted to bring the Commission down. Now, it didn't work, did it? As expected, the Commission is still standing. What's gone on?
Yeah, today out the lay of the land, we as the Patriot fraction, the third largest fraction in the European Parliament, already voted against von der Leyen when she entered into her second term of office. So it would make no sense for us to support her now when the censure have been put on the table. But it is more of a symbolic gesture in the sense that we knew that there was not enough support for the 2/3 of Parliament to vote her out. So it was more a signal to show to the European electorate that this verdict she got in the European Court of Justice, where she was judged for not giving access to these infamous text messages between her and the Pfizer director during the COVID crisis, that this judicial verdict needed some political consequences, and we wanted to show our support yesterday that we think that the consequence should be that the Commission President resigns.
So let's quickly go through the votes. There are 720 MEPs. Only 553 actually turned up to vote. Of those, 175 voted for the motion of no confidence to bring down the whole Commission. 360 voted against, and there were 18 official abstentions. Now, explain, please, Anders, why 167 skipped the vote. Is there an explanation?
First of all, as you mentioned, it was not a close vote. So there's always a certain part of Parliament who is staying away for different reasons. There can be family emergencies, there can be people who are on maternity leave or illnesses, or people with domestic jobs and so on. But what I think was eye-catching here is that many of the ECR members, the European Conservative and Reformist groups, who is sort of the group, sister group of ours to the right, and who initiated this procedure, many of them decided to stay away from the vote. And I think that was because they felt caught a little bit between a rock and a hard place, because they have the big Italian delegation of Fratelli d'Italia, the party of Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, and they have a very prominent commissioner, one of the vice presidents. And I think that they very clearly stated that they didn't want to vote against their own commissioner, because it's not only the Commission President you censor, it's the entire Commission. So there was a bit of internal division in one of the right-wing groups, and possibly also other places where it was more convenient for people not to push a button and vote and just stay away and avoid the issue.
I'm just trying to number crunch here, because 360 voted for the European Commission or against the motion. And that's around half, isn't it? Am I getting my maths right? Isn't that half the Parliament? So, I mean, can we say that the Parliament has confidence in the European Commission, or is this confidence breaking down?
I think we are seeing a Commission President who is more and more challenged every day. She's challenged on her policy because most of the election promises of the so-called Conservatives and the Christian Democrats can only be fulfilled to the right when it comes to the question about tougher migration policies and amendment of these ridiculous green policies that they have introduced. And at the same time, her political base is the left wing and the liberals, and they feel more and more disfranchised with the EPP politics, so the Christian Democratic politics. So I think that you can safely say that there is more and more tension building up, and that's also what we hear every day in the plenary, that they are infighting. We also heard it on Monday's debate, where Manfred Weber, the leader of the EPP group, was blaming the left wings and the liberals, and the left wing and the liberals blamed the EPP. So it's not a happy coalition and it's not a happy family, but it is a marriage of arrangement, not of love.
Right, and as you said, lots of internal divisions and lots of people unhappy with von der Leyen from within the centre stroke centre left. Now, I guess the question is, I mean, lots of people on the left, even the hard left, who are not happy as well with the European Commission and von der Leyen, they were nevertheless not willing to support a motion of no confidence which had come from the right. So the question to you is, as an MEP from the right, do you think you and your group or the right in general be prepared to support a motion of no confidence if it came from the left?
I think we would support any motion of censure of no confidence against the Commission President, left, right, or center. I think we didn't initiate this procedure. It was initiated by another half of the ECR group. What we have very clearly stipulated is that when we are going to issue a motion of censure, a vote of misconfidence in von der Leyen and her commission, it should not be based on political reasoning. It should be based on the level of corruption, the level of malpractice of commission. So, because what we are seeing in this vote, which was quite predictable, is that the left is using the reasoning within the resolution as an excuse not to vote in favor of getting rid of von der Leyen. So, for instance, members of the communist left group decided not to vote with the ECR motion because they didn't agree with the wording on Gate, which was the official reasoning behind this motion of censure. So I think that the writing could have helped a bit with the support on the left, or at least making it very hard for the left group not to support this censure. So there are some lessons to be learned and some conclusion to be drawn. And I think next time around we should be able to get a more substantial vote against von der Leyen's commission.
So next time around, do you think she'll survive the mandate?
It depends. I have a sincere hope that we'll be able to break up this very unhappy coalition of people who basically the only thing they have in common is that they don't want to listen to the election result where the right had a very good result and that people rejected, I think, primary ridiculous policies when it comes to migration and green politics policies of the European Commission. So yes, I sincerely think that we can break up this coalition if we work very strategic, very hard, especially on the right and more coherent. And that is what we are championing in the Patriots. That's why we want more internal coordination with the other groups to achieve a common goal of more common sense Europe, less federalist Europe, and a Europe for the people.
Before we started, you were talking also about division within the European People's Party. Well, obviously, this has been a big theme this year, hasn't it? Some within the EPP happy to cooperate with the right in the European Parliament, especially as far as green legislation is concerned, etc., etc. Others more happier to cooperate with the socialists and the liberals, etc., etc. Is this the key battle?
It is, of course, for us a key objective to either get policies through with the EPP or to point out the hypocrisy to their electorate in their member countries. Because the fact of the matter is that they have made similar promises to ours and in many of these issues. And now we have the majority to get them through. So it's very difficult for them to explain to the voters why they don't use the right-wing majority that Parliament consists of to get these policies through. And one example that we are going to meet very soon is the question on whether we should have another lofty and unrealistic target when it comes to CO2 reduction. The Patriot group that I represent have just been given the rapporteurship of 2040 climate goals, and our ambition is to lower these ambitions as much as we can to make Europe more competitive, with Asia and the US. And we will see if the EPP dares to go with us or whether they will cowardly go with the center coalition, who wants more of less regulation that kills businesses and economy for many Europeans.
Right. For our viewers, the EPP is the centre-right Christian Democrat Party group within the European Parliament. Okay, let's move on. We have an under-the-radar section here on interference, and I'd like to touch on what's going on in Germany. As you know, Anders, the state of Rhineland has banned members of the Alternative for Germany, the FD party, from the civil service. Now, that includes teachers and what have you. Anyone applying for civil service jobs now has to declare if they have been a member of an extremist, quote-unquote, organization in the past 5 years. Now, What can we say about this? Now, obviously, Germany has a specific history which we all understand. Is this overreach, or is there an element of justification? What do you think, Anders?
I think that it is. It has a scent of totalitarianism that you ban members of the largest opposition party from holding any office within the regional government. I think that is a quite extreme point of view. That up to 25%, 1 in 4 Germans should belong to an extreme organization. I don't buy into that narrative. You can say that there are problematic elements within the AFD, but most of their voters and most of the elected officials that we work with in the European Parliament would not be considered extreme or extreme right wing in other countries than Germany. So I don't think that is a label that is representative of all AFD voters or, for that matter, members. On the other hand, they also still have the former Communist Party, Die Linke, in German politics, and it seems for me very ridiculous that you believe that the party of Stasi, the party of the DDR, is an acceptable party, and you can be a member of that and still be a civil servant when you rule out the largest opposition party members. So I think it has a hint of something that you want to avoid in a democratic society, namely that the majority oppresses the political minority, and in this case goes after their jobs.
Now, you said there are some problematic elements within the AFD. Do you think what would you do then in an ideal world? I mean, would you try and get rid of these individuals? Evidently, according to reports I see and people I speak to, some of them, a small minority, let's say, are in fact anti-democratic. So, what would you do with these people? I guess it's up to the party to kick them out.
Yeah, it is up to the party. We have seen other right-wing parties having to go through a similar procedure, and I think AFD is trying to work on that, and we will have to see how it goes. As I understand German constitutional law, it is a little bit more complicated in Germany due to the fact that the constitution have a very high protection of party membership. So it's not as easy to kick people out as it is in Danish or British or other countries' political landscape. But I have faith in the AFD leadership. Is sincere when they say they want party for the masses, a party that represent ordinary Germans, and they don't want to have an extremist party. And I think you can easily see that they are working very hard on trying to change that narrative. Whether they succeed is for time to tell us, but I don't think we should rule it out.
Okay, and that leads us to our final section, which is the hero and the zero. We're going to have to nominate Mrs. Madame von der Leyen for the hero slot this week because, let's face it, she survived. But let's talk a bit about this week's zero. Have you been following this Grok AI debate and the stuff that's coming out of the mouth of this chatbot? What do you think?
It seems to become a little bit unhinged, a little bit like American politics sometimes seems to be a little bit strange in a European perspective. No, I think it's very clear, even to Elon Musk, that his attempt to make a non-vogue ChatGPT or AI model maybe went a little bit too far in this regard, and should be reined in. But it is one of the challenges with new technology, and I think I'm always in favor of social media concerns having more free speech rather than less free speech. But I think that everyone recognizes that this has gone too far with the Grok update.
But this it's an interesting dilemma in that those who believe or profess to believe in free speech absolutism at the same time are now recognizing that this has gone too far. So what does that mean? Some kind of regulation is required or what?
No, I don't believe in government regulation of free speech. When of course, when it comes to threats of injury or terrorism, that should not be allowed. When it comes to inflammatory remarks about other people, you need some legislation to protect against that. But other than that, I believe that free speech is overall a good thing, and it's not really free speech if it's not provocative. So I think this will resolve itself. Nobody wants a product as this Grok it was turning into, and therefore the company is self-adopting a policy of reining it back in. But the idea that politicians should regulate free speech, I think, is never a very good idea. It's always lead to the majority trying to undermine the will of the minority or the freedom of the minority to have their freedom of expression.
So there you have it. It's fair play from interference. We're going to award Madame von der Leyen with this week's hero trophy, and Grok AI is this week's zero. Anders, that's great. Thanks for joining us for this special edition.
Thanks for having me on.
And please keep leaving your comments below this episode. See you next time.